back here with the Beetle. We have a coconut on the ice coffee. We have a template here I made for the brake caliper carrier. And so we will be installing, these are rear calipers from a 99 to 2006 VW Golf, Jetta, and New Beetle. So these are very easy to get. You can get them at the scrapyards or any parts store. So easy to get, right? They have a bigger piston in them than the ones sold for the conversions. So that's why I'm going with this. This is the carrier, and it sits on there like so. Okay, so we have the brackets that come with the conversion kit. And so what we're gonna have to do is cut it. And then over here, I have some 1/4 inch thick flat stock. So we're gonna make a bracket, and I've made the template here. So that'll be like so. We'll cut that out. We'll drill the 2 holes. These will be a 10mm by 1.5 thread pitch. So we'll have the 2 carrier bolts there. This had thread. All we had to do was drill out, just oversized, drill out the threads on this so the M10 bolt fits nicely in there without running into the threads. This bracket is also M10 by 1.5. And so what we're gonna have to do is cut into this bracket a bit, and then down, and then cut across. And I'll show you that when I do it. And then once this is cut out of steel, this radius here fits against the radius of this bracket inside there. You can see here. So showing from the back side, it's gonna fit in somewhere like that, but welded from behind. And then the carrier will sit up against it on this face, and we'll bolt on, and that'll allow us to bolt the caliper on. So let's go ahead, step 1, I'm gonna cut this out. So here we are, after some grinding and test fitting and shimming and stuff, it looks like we have it set up correctly. So here we have the spacing set up, rotor is centered up in the bracket, same thing underneath, and the pads have full contact on the rotor. Right now we have a vice grip holding tension on the parking brake lever, just so it compresses the pads against the rotor and centers everything. Then we play with the bracket here. And so I had to grind a little bit of a chamfer in between the plate that we made and the disc brake bracket. So we have them mated up right now. I'm about ready to weld. Just gonna weld this area here and underneath. And then once that's set in place, we'll remove the vice grip, remove the jack stand that's holding up the caliper weight, and we'll spin the rotor. And then we'll bolt the wheel on, make sure everything's perfect. We will disassemble and fully weld that bracket together. Alright, we have our second bracket made up. We have our protein shake. Let's go ahead and install it so we can make this side look like that side. So as you can see here, we got the calipers mounted. This side's done. That side was already done. Everything's Loctited in place and lubricated, so we're good. Let's move on to doing the brake lines. We're gonna have to make a small line from this brake hose to that brake hose. Then we have to make the crossover. Same thing on that side, and then run the line up to the front. So let's go ahead and get cracking on that. So and now, coming out of the Toblerone looking box, we have a complete set of brake lines. Is the MP residual pressure valve. So this keeps 2 psi on the rear brake line to the rear calipers. Very common when you do the disc brake conversion, you do need one of these. So I wanted to explain a few things here since I lost some footage. Here we have the master cylinder, which is made for disc brake conversions. We installed that ahead of a brand new pedal assembly. With the brake lines, you can see here, I got the bends all twisted up and nice. It goes through a bracket I made out of aluminum. This is just 1-inch flat stock with a 1/2-inch hole, a bend on the bottom, an M8 bolt bolting it down. Just make sure you apply enough slack in the brake hose before you make your bracket so that it doesn't pull on the brake hose when going lock to lock. Same thing is repeated on the other side, as you can see there. Here we just have some braided hoses with some yellow heat shrink on the ends for the aesthetic. That just goes up to the reservoir. Working our way back here, we have a residual pressure valve that keeps 2 psi on the rear brake circuit. So that comes out of the master, residual pressure valve, and then double grommet. The brake line comes across into the clips, through to the back, through a grommet, into the T-fitting, and then it splits off into the brake hoses left and right. On this side here, we have another hard line that we made. Comes out of the brake hose, normally would go to the drums, goes into the new brake hose that feeds our caliper. This hose is off a 95 to 2001 Audi A4 on the rear. Here we also have a bracket that I designed and made, clamps on the swing axle, so no welding needed to put a tab here to hold that. Last thing I wanted to explain was the cable holder for the parking brake. So these are standard disc brake parking brake cables. Cut the end off. I applied some heat shrink, yellow for the aesthetic again. This is a piece of 5/8 round aluminum stock. I just drilled it and tapped it for an M8 bolt, and then I drilled a 1/8-inch hole, and so this bolt is clamping this parking brake cable inside. Time to test out our brakes.